Welcome back to the How to Start a Cannabis Farm podcast. My name is Jared, and I am your host. Today's topic is how to make money in the cannabis industry. But first, we got to pay some bills, so we're going to try to thank some sponsors, which we don't have any sponsors. It's fucking us. So we would love your support. Check out howtostartacannabisfarm.com for seeds and flower. And then if you are not the cultivator or smoker, check out our Texas partners website, Mellow Moose Hemp, NTX, as in Nancy, TX, Texas, for all your hemp goods such as lotions, tinctures, soaps, pet products, both THC-free and full spectrum. Now to get back on topic, how to make money in the cannabis industry. So first off, we're going to focus on where everything starts, the farms, the producers, and if you have a handler's license, a handler, which in summary, it allows you to physically handle the product, but it also allows you to extract. Anyways, back on subject. So in regards to the grow side of farming, you can obviously grow biomass, which is what every single farm is doing right now. And that's basically for molecule production, or specifically focusing on something like CBD, CBC, CBG, CBN. Your job is not to really produce like craft flower or smokable, even though people are just chopping the tops off and calling that smokable, if you want to smoke it. But it's more for like the CBD product market, specifically producing things that'll go into edibles and tinctures and whatnot. The next option is growing craft flower, and by craft, I mean your ingredients and techniques are what qualify you for craft. Specifically sourcing quality ingredients. You know, if you look at a top dollar restaurant or a really expensive chef, I mean, these guys, I mean, shit, there's some Netflix documentary all about it. But these chefs, they go so far as to go visit farms and physically look at the cattle, look at the pigs, look at the ducks, see what they're being fed, make sure that the feed is coming from a high quality place, making sure that it's organic, or beyond organic. If you're going to try to grow for craft flower, which I recommend, the majority of small farms do, because it's what everybody's good at, and it's what our biggest, not our biggest, but definitely one of our bigger assets are, as far as being a small farm. Just having the ability to, man, of course, as soon as I start recording, things are going off. It allows you to be able to pivot, but also try new things without it wrecking your entire budget. You know, to be able to do something like that on scale, it just costs a lot. And a lot of big farms are more worried about margins, and they're not worried about quality, unfortunately. Another way of actually generating money is to produce seed. Producing seed is different than breeding seed. So I just have to put that out there. If you're producing seed, all you're doing is usually is open pollination. But in this case, in the hemp industry, it's creating feminized seed. And really what that entails is having a bunch of mothers and a bunch of moms and setting up a bunch of clones and growing those out. And depending how you're doing it, whether you're using donor pollen or from a specific female that you've got off to the side, or or you're inducing the pollination using like gibberellic acid or silver thiosulfate, or even using light deprivation. Producing seed for the biomass molecule production farms is huge. I mean, had we made feminized seed last year, I'd be a multi-millionaire right now. There is so much demand for it, but the bigger problem is that there's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of fake feminized seed where it's just all hermaphrodites, and people are being sued at this very moment for producing like millions of it and selling it with the knowledge that it wasn't feminized seed. A bigger issue is the feminized, or really the female to male ratios. There's some cultivar, and I'm not going to name names, but there's some cultivars out there that are 4,000 to 1, and then there's others that are like 40 to 1, or 44 to 1, or 50 to 1, 20 to 1. So I guess when you're really breaking down the term like feminized, it's not female. It's just feminized. It's mostly female. It's female-ish. So just factoring that in into your sales program, I think is the entire feminized seed production, and factoring that into your way of selling, I think is a huge asset. I don't like doing it. I haven't done it. I got to say that off the bat, but it's not something that I really wanted to do in general, just because of the potential damage that it can do to the soil underneath, because that stuff is toxic. But at the same time, the only people that are growing feminized seed in bulk are people that are just looking for money. I understand the purpose of it, though, if you're trying to save genetics. But anyways, back on subject. Sorry. The next way of actually making some extra capital is to breed your own seed. And right now, keeping things, if you're going to be breeding seed, you need to make sure that your overall target is total THC. Unfortunately, ignorance is taking over. And the dumbing down of America has caused just blatant fuck-ups in this industry. And right now, specifically talking about the interpretation of the Farm Bill and the fact that people, for some reason, believe that decarboxylation of hemp is a reliable method of testing for determining delta-9 THC. It is not. You are testing delta-9 THC potential because you're essentially converting things, and that's not what the law states. Decarboxylation is just a method for determining the amount of delta-9 if and something happens. But if you're consuming cannabis as a raw product, then, and I mean like you could literally eat it, then it's screwing a lot of things over. And so at this point, while I still believe that the Farm Bill, the way it is written and should be interpreted, the focus is on delta-9 THC. Even Oregon is implementing rules now to make testing requirements focus on total THC. So that being said, also you'll run into less issues, but I still fuck all that. Even so, focusing on total THC should be a focus if you're going to breed. But at the same time, I personally believe every farm needs to be breeding in-house anyways. You should still be buying genetics from other people. I mean, you still need to keep your gene pool fresh, but focusing on certain cultivars like your bread and butter and making them better and consistently breeding or selecting or refining genetics in your area so that they become stronger and better yielding, and maybe they flower faster or finish faster. That needs to be part of your game plan anyways. Another way of making money as a producer is obviously the nursery model. The nursery model means you supply clones, you supply seedlings, you supply mothers, maybe you even hold genetics for people. I know Kevin Judry from Wonderland Nursery. That's one of the things he does. He holds genetics for people, but at the same time, he makes sure to explain to people that the people that really need to be praised are not him, but the actual breeders. And so going back to the breeder, if you're going to breed, make sure it's genetics that people want to hold on to. But for the nursery model, your market will be huge because of a lot of indoor production is going to start happening. But pest management is a big fucking deal if you're going to be in the nursery game. Not to mention a lot of the systemic pesticides that have been used in the past have caused people to fail. So just making sure that you know where your clones are going and what tests are required, and hopefully you're not using anything harmful and you're not trying to cheat the system. But getting involved in the nursery and selling clones, at least even right now, I mean, it's April and people are trying to buy clones because they didn't plan ahead, or maybe they're just brand new, or their business model is set up so that they buy clones instead of using valuable space to propagate. So moving forward into the product realm for producers, you can sell all kinds of shit as a producer. So whether it's trim bud, untrimmed, you can have it on the stick, or whether it's buck down, you can have it separate into tops and bottoms. You can even go even further and do like A's and B's within each one. You can sell the trim. You can press this stuff into rosin pucks. You can make pre-rolls. One of the things that we're planning on getting involved into is the fresh bud game, where ideally our goal is to target some of the high-end restaurants and culinary places, kitchens, and having them either we sell them fresh buds or they come and cut it themselves. And that's the next thing we'll be talking about. But even talking about the fresh buds, more importantly, if you're going to get involved in that, it needs to be like ultra fucking organic. I mean, like, none of this like, oh, well, I just sprayed it up until week 3. Fuck that. Like, if I'm going to eat this shit, keep it as clean as possible. Like, you need to be spraying fucking water. You need to have your shit tight. I understand that you can wash things off, and if you're going to be eating it, you might want to. But even then, you should still discuss that with the chef or the restaurant and determine if that's something they want to do on their end, or if you want to do it there, because obviously if you're growing outdoor and you're washing it off, it will wash off some dirt. It will wash off some bugs, and I know people have their thoughts and opinions about dunking buds and whatnot. It does work. I personally don't do it, but I've seen it, and it works. But at the same time, you're also removing a lot of other things like valuable terpenes and whatnot, and you might be knocking off some trichomes in the water. But other people have made comments about how it doesn't smoke right, or how it doesn't smell right, or this or that. So just discuss that prior to making a decision. The next option is definitely the cut and carry. And you can do that for the culinary options like we just discussed. You can also do that for commercial and small scale. The beauty of that is, it prevents you from, or it not prevents you, it allows you to, first off, not have to use space for curing. It lets them do that if they so choose. You may not have to dry it. It lets them do that if they so choose. But even for small scale, for instance, you could offer discounts for undried or uncured. It saves time, it saves money, and people are like, oh, I have a jar, and I have 2 weeks of time. Shit, if it works out for everybody, why not try it? Everybody's looking to save money, and I think it would be a valuable opportunity for people to really come up in the game on both ends. As a consumer, essentially, and getting access to really quality stuff at a better price, but for you, basically being able to eliminate your drying and curing space, or at least downsize it, and then potentially add more space for growing. The other thing you can do as it's just a side product, and is like, you can use your sticks and stems for like shoe toys. You can make scratching posts. You can do like bird perches for like your little pet bird, or like a parrot or something. Fishing poles, the little violin fucking, I don't know what they're called, the little things with the strings. Maybe even the strings. What else do I got? You can make a guitar out of hemp, maybe. Musical fucking instruments, maybe you can make a flute. Drumsticks, microphone stands, and the microphone stand, man, you gotta shout out to Mendo Dope, and their Live in the Garden series. Mendo Dope is a cannabis culture group, two brothers. They're out of Mendocino, Ukiah, I believe. And go check them out if you haven't. I watch their stuff occasionally, and just follow along for the journey. Support what they do, at least. If you like their music, that's one thing. Not everybody does. But anyways, they did a really awesome microphone stand. It was like fucking 10, 14 feet tall or something. Nuts. And you're basically growing your plants exceptionally tall specifically for that purpose. But, you know, with some of this hemp stuff growing, 10, 15 feet just on its own, if it's cultivated correctly, might just be another product avenue. You don't always have to turn everything into fucking biomass, but it is an option. The bad seed, like if your crop accidentally gets pollinated, or let's say you purposely pollinate it and the seed is bunk and you don't want to sell it, you can use it as for hemp protein. One of the things that we were thinking about. So this last year we received like a bunch of plants in a sharecropping deal from a local farm here in the area. Well, one of on our quote-unquote full terms, because they were like quarter terms, half terms by the time we got licensed, one of the females that we planted was hermaphrodite, and it fucking seeded everything, and it like all of our it seeded everything we didn't want to get seeded, and it fucked up a lot of stuff and really devalued our product. Even though our product still looks fucking amazing, it just, when you tell them it's seeded, they're like, how much? And you're like, oh, every fucking bud. And they're like, it sucks. It's something that we've been having to deal with this year ourselves. And it's just, that's part of it, unfortunately, and it happens. But one of the things I started thinking about was, the full plant conversation. The full plant, everything being like full plant extract, full plant this, that. A few different people in the industry brought it up that it's only full plant if you include hemp seed oil or hemp seed. And so I started thinking, you know what, maybe with all these hermaphrodites that are going to be popping up with all the fem seed that's being bought, or even if you decided, you know what, maybe it's somehow you just find a way and are ingenious enough to figure out that, growing hermaphrodites is better for whatever product avenue you have. You could just grind all that shit up and like encapsulate it and call it a full plant capsule. It contains the bud, it contains the stem, it contains the leaf, and it contains little bits of seed. Or you could just extract that shit, and now you got a full plant extract. I don't know what the processors are going to say, but it's just a thought. You could also make different cannabis seasonings. I mean, that's a whole other thing, but I mean, fuck. It's something we've dabbled with and played with, and people, I mean, the seasoning game is huge, and it's not like we don't have a million seasonings already, but I've seen cannabis seasoning product made out of trim already, so I don't see why you couldn't do that with the small buds or anything else. I will say, yeah, we'll go with that. One of the other ways you can make money as a producer is through your information. So consult. If you have a tried and true method for your farm, you can franchise that out, and utilize your brand. Start building that. You could write down the way that you cultivate and sell it as a book. Grow like a pro or some shit. Or even create a movie. Write a book about your life. Essentially kind of what I'm doing at the moment. And tell the story of how you got from point A to point B. What else? Alright, so now we're on, the labs, manufacturers, cannabis kitchens, processors, handlers, all that shit. So for the processing, this is all pretty standard. You can make crude oil, distillate, THC-free distillate, various types of isolate, terpene extraction, which it's not something like people are focusing on. It's more of a byproduct, or really just a way of saving everything. You can do CO2 extraction. BHO is not really huge in the hemp market. It might be, but I don't want it. But again, all that's standard. You can also get involved in the edible game as well. Gummies, muffins, cake pops, ice cream, popcorn. Speaking of popcorn, I've never tried it, but I see him on Instagram all the time, so I figure I'll shout him out. Jimmy Crack Corn. Jimmy Crack Corn, they've won like an award or something at the Emerald Cup or something for like I don't know, second place best edible or something. So go check them out. I don't know. Shit, the other day I saw dehydrated fruit slices, like the stuff that you see in trail mix. Fucking trail mix. You know, me personally, I'm tired of all the sweet shit. I need some healthy shit. Just something better. I'm just tired of fucking sweets. So, but I understand, you know, there's like 1 million overweight people in this country, or 1 billion. So whatever, you know, if that's your game, fuck it. But I'm just tired of that shit. So I would love to see much healthier options. What else do we got? Toll processing. So toll processing, you're basically just, you're selling your services. Now there's two ways of doing it. People are either you can, you know, pay me per, I don't know, pound, ton, whatever. The other option is you get a percentage of the yield, which is what a lot of people do. Now the average is like a 50-50 split with the farmer. Now I think that's a dick. That's my opinion. I think that's dick. To take 50% of what the farmer's done, which has cost them, you know, an entire year, just in the span of like nothing, just as like under the guise of you're doing them a fucking favor. Like, fuck off. Don't be like that. At least give them 60-40 or 70-30. Like, if you really want, you know, the farmers to, and I mean, like, if you want the farmers, like the small farmers and shit, if you want these guys to survive, like, you gotta give them better fucking, like better rates. Like, don't be like that. And it's usually because these processors they spent a lot of fucking money on their equipment, you know, and they're trying to make it back, and for them, their quote unquote, their time is worth more, or they have to operate them. Yeah, I don't know, man. I call bullshit. But you can still do toll processing, and it's huge, and I highly recommend it. But your capacity, and their capacity, I mean, is a huge factor. You know, the more that you can run in a day, obviously the less you can charge, because, you know, you're paying people, you know, X and Y, and all this shit works out. But another thing that people are doing is all the custom formulations, and that really goes into all of the standard products. You know, whether you're custom formulating crude oil or distillate, and I mean custom formulation as in like either A, you're diluting it to make it so that it's legal, B, you're infusing, you know, or re-infusing certain terpenes to you know, recreate different effect profiles. But anyways, I guess to go back, nanotech technology, I mean, you're just increasing surface area and therefore bioavailability of a product. Water-soluble CBD is fucking huge right now. I don't know why, but it is. The custom terpene profiles, that's more for effect. There's a few that actually smell like the cut, but that's just because of the amount of monoterpenes that are involved. A lot of this stuff, it doesn't smell like it should. Personally, I think a lot of the chemists need to don't worry about the effect. If people are looking for, if they're looking for a certain cultivar, I think the majority of the time they want to taste it. Maybe in the sense of like, if they're looking for an indica, obviously they want to feel down, so they don't want to feel fucking, you know, cracked out, but you want to taste it. And unfortunately that leads into a lot of like synthetically derived terpenes and whatnot, but cannabis derived terpenes, fruit derived terpenes, those are really big right now. Having a different variety of carriers, and I'm sure this is common knowledge, but you know, hemp seed oil, pumpkin seed oil, MCT coconut oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil. My favorite that I've seen so far has been cold pressed bacon oil, and they use that for pet tinctures, and I think that was fucking crazy smart. I mean, my dog loves that shit, loves it. I would love to see, and obviously this means like extra build out, extra this, that. But bottling and manufacturing or packaging machinery in the labs. This way you can almost act like a one-stop shop. So if I can, like as a farmer, if I can bring you all my shit and say, look, this is what I want. This is my goal. Well, if you can offer me my goal and I can just stay there and only have to deal with one person, you can, on your end as the processor, you can afford to, quote unquote, give them the 70-30 split on the toll processing to make them happy, but then charge a little bit more on, the packaging and the bottling, and make things work out for yourself and do it in a, what's the best way to describe it? Just do it in a more blended fashion so that people don't feel like they're getting ripped off. That's really what it comes down to. Nobody wants to feel like they're getting ripped off, so if you can add more value, it gives people a reason to shop with you, and they don't mind spending more or the same amount. It just, it just has to work out. They don't want to feel ripped off in the beginning and like saved at the end. It would be better if you saved them in the beginning and then explained why something has to be a little bit more at the very end, because, well, look at everything that you've done from the end to the beginning. They're like, oh yeah, you've done a lot for me. Okay, well, that makes sense. And you're already at that point where it's like, you might as well work with them. So yeah, I would love to see labs offer bottling and packaging, and I'm sure there are some, but the real big thing, though, the biggest area is the processing, and I mean new processing, sorry. The shit that's supposed to save the hemp industry. All the fiber, the biodiesel, the ethanol, the methanol, graphene replacement, which is huge for like solar panels and batteries, and like transparent electrodes. For batteries, like hemp supercapacitors. Hempcrete's not really new, but it's not commonplace enough. But shit, I could totally see all the hemp byproduct after it's post extraction. I mean, if that gets used for hempcreting, you just sell it out the not the back door, but just sell it to your buddy in the same lot who all of a sudden they turn their shop into a hempcrete store or whatever. We need to see more bottles and boxes. Everything that we buy comes in a bottle or it comes in a box. And if it comes in a jar, well, the jar comes in a fucking box. We need more of that sooner than later. And I know everybody wants to focus on the CBD production and all this shit, but again, even if you could create your own bottles on site and then add that to the lab, like, killing the game. We need better hemp clothing, not just, and no knock to the hippies, but not just all the fucking hippie shit and fucking moccasins and stuff. Like, give me some goddamn hemp boots, some, like a really nice hemp jacket, like some work gear, like some Carhartt or some fucking Levi's, something. For the dude in the like, my pops is a stockbroker, get him a fucking hemp suit, make that motherfucker look good. Some hemp hats. Okay, now we're gonna really get into the shit. Hemp toothbrushes, hemp razor blades, not the blade but the handle, or like the guard, or even the guards for like shaving, like fucking haircuts. Hemp hairbrushes, hemp printers, hemp computers, hemp keyboards, hemp mouses, hemp phones, hemp microphones, hemp headphones, hemp speaker plates, hemp sound systems, hemp TVs, hemp projectors, maybe a hemp ball, like a football or basketball or a soccer ball. Guarantee if you look around and you see something in plastic, let's fucking give me a hemp alternative. Guarantee you people will buy it. I mean, shit, people buy new screensavers. They buy fucking back plates for this, that, whatever. They some people, they only buy, or they only wear one piece of clothing a day and never wear it again. Or, they'll never wash it. It's just whatever. Wear it once, that's it. Give people some different shit. What else we got? Hemp cutlery, hemp plates, hemp disposable cutlery, hemp disposable plates, hemp cups, disposable, anything. I know right now I've seen a lot of hemp gin, which is kind of cool. because gin uses a lot of like herbs and berries and shit. Be interesting to see, a hemp alcohol that's just kind of on its own. I could totally see how that industry could blow up, especially if you're using certain cultivars. So if you had like an OG hemp, rum or something, or I don't know. You got to play with it. I'm not the processor. But yeah, like plastic everything. Like let's take advantage of this. Well, you need to take advantage of it. Okay, so the retailers, the wholesalers, the dispensaries, distributors. Well, the way that you make money is you sell shit. But to get even more in-depth, sell things on other factors that are not numbers. This means you got to be educated on a bunch of shit. And the various things that make up high-quality cannabis, such as terpenes and cannabinoid ratios and, the ingredients used, the techniques used, the time that it took to develop those techniques and ingredients. All that stuff is overlooked as fuck. But specifically, cannabinoid ratios are overlooked. That needs to be a very, very big focus, or an area of improvement, I should say. The smokability, like how smooth is it? I mean, if people are fucking smoking it, like, don't you think, like, we're in 2019, don't you think we should be smoking smooth cannabis by now? Yeah, I know a lot of people agree with me. There's no room for harshness anymore. Like that's like early 2000s, 90s. Like we're better than that. And you should be better than that. Like don't, if you're going to be buying cannabis, like it can't just be off of numbers and fucking looks. Like you need to step your game up and understand like what the fuck like a quality human being. You need to understand quality cannabis. It's not just fucking the way that this bitch looks. No offense to the Instagram models out there, but like, I shouldn't even be judging them because I don't fucking know them like that. But you know what I mean. Just because it's pretty, just because it fucking smells good, like, bitch, I could put makeup on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could spray some fucking perfume. You can make a dude look like a chick. You could make a basic chick look like a 9 or a 10. I mean, you can do all kinds of things, but when you get involved, when you start talking the talk, when you try to see what their mind is like, some of these bitches are dumb. A lot of these bitches are dumb. So, you need to have that same, like, would you date? I don't know. Like, that's the way that I'm thinking. You need to be more, self-serving in a sense. Like, do what's right for everybody and what's right for yourself. And what's right for yourself is to do right for everybody. And to do right for everybody means you need to step your game up and understand that quality cannabis is so much more than just fucking numbers. I mean, numbers are only good as what they measure. And the fact is numbers don't measure effect. They can somewhat measure flavor, but they don't measure flavor. There's no numeric value or no test for smoothness. Maybe ppms, but even then, nobody's taking like a record of their cannabis like that. Another thing is trying to figure out, like based on like different terpenes and whatnot, and even the terpene profiles and how those potentially, when they combust or become volatile, are they harsh? So should things be smoked in a bong? Should it be smoked in a joint? Or is it better used in edibles? Does the smell actually go from, your nose into the mouth when you're smoking it? Do you taste what you're smelling? All that shit needs to be factored in. And when you stop focusing on the numbers, you allow room for the customer to choose what they want based on their own biological chemistry and natural attraction, instead of bottlenecking the industry into following following the trend, which is capitalism. And that's what you're focusing on. You're focusing on numbers, and it reflects on us, the cultivator, because like now we have to throw out a bunch of great cultivars in our eyes, but because you don't want to buy them, well, we have to get rid of them. And now all of a sudden we have a bunch of shit that tastes the same, or it's just been renamed, or it's this, that, and that's not good for the industry. You need to open up. You need to sell. I hate saying it because I know you don't want to hear it, and your customers may not want to hear it, but you need to sell other things besides high number stuff. And I mean, like, look at it this way. It's the equivalent of like only eating the most expensive food. When, in fact, like the cheapest cuts of meat, like, or even the cuts that people didn't want, you add a little something to them, give them a little time, a little smoke. Man, it's the best fucking thing ever. The other thing is, like, when you're looking, I mean, you go to an expensive ass restaurant or something, your portions are really low. It's like, bitch, I'm still hungry. And some of that stuff doesn't compare when, you're, let's just say you're I don't know, you're trash, or it's 4 a.m. and you want some fucking shitty ass cheap Taco Bell or McDonald's, or, for my Texas folks, Whataburger. Shit doesn't compare. It doesn't at all. As the retailer, your job, well, first off, you need to be more educated on everything. Not just what your customer wants, but more importantly, it's your job to educate the customer. If they are coming to you to buy, you need to tell them what they should and shouldn't buy based on a proper education. And I don't mean tell them actually, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. But tell them you need to buy things based on this. So, what matters to you more? You need to actually have in-depth conversations with people. Oh, I know, that's tough, especially because you got shitty employees. But that's another thing, is you need to be able to educate your employees and bud tenders, and don't make the mistake of trying to be hands-off. The more you want to be hands-off, the less control you have over your business, and the more opportunity it is for people to kind of do their own thing and fuck up your reputation because they have their own way of doing things, or because there's no, not order, but there's no direction that you've given them, and that's tough. But I guess this comes down to communication. You need to be able to communicate to people what quality cannabis is, and they need to be able to communicate better to the customer. This way, you and them realize how this affects the entire supply chain. Another way of making some extra capital is offering subscription services. It's nice to be able to have, just like the fresh new drop come in, and it's like, I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to waste my gas. It's just like, hey, it's here. Or maybe, or even delivery services. But, and I know it sucks, and I don't like, it's a fact. Subscription services are a pain in the ass because people don't cancel them. Like, I forget to cancel my stuff all the time, and it just takes my money. But I'm like, but I use it occasionally. So, yeah. Take it for what it is. Obviously, we just talked about delivery options. That's huge. I know a lot of people don't really want to drive, or they don't want to deliver, but I think it's worthwhile. You could also partner up with like local taxi services. Shit, man, maybe call the Uber dude. Tell this motherfucker to go drop that shit off. Call Lyft, call whatever the fuck, I don't know. I know they got those little bird scooters. Maybe just hop on a little beep beeps, fucking beep beep across the town. Crosspromote. You need to find other things or other hobbies that your customers like, and then go into, let's say it's a coffee shop, let's say it's a yoga center, let's say it's the local putt-putt golf course, whatever it is. Go there and try to offer them, an opportunity where you can put your coupons or discounts there, they can put theirs in your place, or maybe, you bring your receipt here for like 10% off, 20% off. Basically try and put yourself and your image in as many places as you can that your customer goes to. This way you're not just marketing in one point of their life. You're marketing in their entire life. So everywhere they go, they see you. And it just so happens that, they like this. So, if like, I don't know, you can do it in comedy clubs. That would be huge, actually. Comedy clubs, regular clubs, bars. I know people don't like mixing alcohol and cannabis, but fuck off. It's part of life. Anything, just cross promote. The last section that I've got is for the ancillary businesses. These would be like, say you don't have the capital to, start a farm, but you want to be in the industry. You don't have the capital to start a lab, but you want to be in the industry. Well, what do you do? First off, the biggest one that I've seen is trim services. You can hand trim bud. You can machine trim. You can separate buds. You can buck them down. Ideally, you need to be mobile. If you are able to, like, there's oh man, I don't have his fucking card with me. God damn it, sucks. Fuck, man, I'm sorry. I know you're not gonna hear this, but I would have loved to be able to give you a shout out right now. There's this cat that I know that, I actually met him a month ago or so. He's able to rough trim about 1,000 pounds an hour. He charges $20 a pound, so 20,000 an hour. And he's got all of his machines in a trailer. He'll pull up to your warehouse. He'll pull up to your farm. He'll pull up and get that shit done in an hour. It's fucking amazing. You got your trim off to one side and your nug off to the other. That's huge, man. Like, you don't have to hire trimmers at that point. That's a lot of bread. Plus, for him, his machines are patented, which is great. And even at that point, you could still franchise that entire business opportunity out to various people. Almost like a mobile, lawn clipping service. Harvest crews. Harvesting is a fucking clusterfuck for most people. I mean, it's easy to grow it, but then when you got to take it down, buck it down, separate it. If you're gonna do a whole plant hang, great. If you're gonna, hang it by the branch, that's fucking great. The physical transportation to and from the field, and then as things are coming in and out, depending how much drying space you've got, like some people, they're not going to be able to dry their 100-acre farm right away, or their 50-acre, or even their 10-acre farm. Maybe they can only dry half an acre at a time, or an acre at a time. Well, when that shit comes out, you got to bring new stuff in, and then things got to be trimmed, or they're just going to be cured, or however you're set it up. Having a bunch of people that can come in and basically save the farmer's life is a huge business opportunity, and something that I've seen quite a bit out here, and it's absolutely necessary, especially just for margins and security purposes. Tractor services. Tractor services are a big deal, especially when people are going from raw land to not raw land. They're just field prep type of thing, but if you got somebody that's got machinery for disking, tilling, subsoiling, even the combines for harvesting, but with the combines, be careful with that shit. They tear up the resin glands and it creates this shitty extract. Plus, for selling biomass, you're actually reducing the price per percentage point. And I mean, it gets reduced by almost like a full $1. So like something might go for $3.50 per percentage point per pound, and that's been hand shucked. Whereas the combine stuff might go for $2.50, and that sucks. Plus, because of the combine destroying a lot of the resin glands, your percentages go down. And it's just, the people do it because it's just standard agricultural technology that they've got, and it's what they had on the time, and people overplanted, of course, and but for them, they're willing to take the hit on the percentage point because they made up for it in volume. So I guess that makes sense. Planting is fucking big. If you've got like a planter wheel, which is what it's called, it's like just an attachment, like, I don't know, it might be a 3-point, 4-point attachment. It goes on the back of a tractor. Usually they got multiple seats, at least one or two. And you have all your clones essentially set up like between you, and they drive down the rows, and then you just plant. You just pick it up and fucking plant as they're driving. That saves people a lot of time because doing all the bending and scooping, it's backbreaking labor. Use your legs, boys. Use your legs. And clearing land. If you've got excavators, dozers, you can rent that stuff. Skid steers. I mean, it all needs to happen at some point. A lot of things need to be leveled, especially for warehouses, greenhouses, the works. Even going into the concrete industry, the cement industry, and being able to pour, a flat pad in a decent amount of time is huge. What else? Transport. Fucking transport. Transport's a big deal right now, especially, it sucks for the guys in Idaho. They just had to basically plead guilty to that shit. And Idaho decided not to pass their little hemp thing, so hemp is still considered illegal out there. If you don't know about that, the 2 semi-truck drivers who were driving a bunch of hemp, which another issue is it might have tested a little hot, so it wasn't technically hemp. But even if it was, in Idaho, hemp is still legal. And it's still treated as cannabis or just regular weed. And even though they've been bailed out and whatnot, they're guilty, and they're supposed to go spend time in jail or prison or whatever. So making sure that when you do transport, especially for this cross-country stuff, routes are known. You've got truckers that potentially are insured. People that at least know which states to drive through and which states not to drive through, and how to drive given the current climate